What's going on, guys? So water changes are a really important part of keeping your aquarium healthy. And today I just want to do a quick video on how I do water changes, the reasons they're important, and a few key tips for things to avoid that might make them problematic and things to just make them easier. So to do my water change today, I'm working on my 29-gallon aquarium here. I have 4 adult angelfish in here who are a bit spooked because I changed the lighting so you can see the tank. And I also have some Corridors Aeneas in the bottom. To do the water change, I'm using a Python, which is a pretty popular tool used for doing water changes. They make a couple different sizes. This size is pretty ideal for this tank. As you can see, the tube isn't the full height of the tank, but it does supply a decent size so that I'll get flow. If it were too small, it would take a really long time to do a water change. So you kind of want to coordinate it to the size of your tank just by feel. And the only other tool I really need for this is a 5-gallon bucket. 5-gallon buckets are your best friend. If you have aquariums and you don't have one, I'm interested to see what you're using instead, because they're probably the most valuable tool that I use in keeping fish. So one of the first things that's really important when doing a water change is how to start the siphon. Now, a lot of people you'll see will stick this in the water and suck on the end of the tube, which if you're okay with maybe getting water in your mouth, that's fine. But if you really want to do the advanced way and the way that you make sure you don't get any water in your mouth, here's how you do it. So basically, you hold the cylinder vertical, and you fully submerge it in the water and allow it to fill up with water. Now after this, you want to make sure that the bottom of your tube is inside your bucket, which mine is. You can't see it off camera. But then you're going to raise the cylinder and let the water drop, and as it flows through, you're going to put it back down into the water, which creates a siphon. Now the water is running continuously from in the tank down into the bucket through this tube. I like to do water changes of somewhere between 25 and 40%. I feel that that's an amount of change that's going to make a significant difference in either removing nitrates, if that's your goal with the water change, or for me, it's more commonly to boost up the pH because my plants deal with the nitrates really well, but by replacing the water, I'm able to reset the pH to the higher level that I want it to be at. So for me, I'm just going to do this one bucket because this is more of a demonstration. I don't really need a water change to be done in this tank, but I'm just waiting for the bucket to fill, and it's almost all the way full. So I'm going to cover this tube so none of the water falls out and allow the remaining water to drop down into the bucket. Now, a couple things you can note. Some water changes, I just remove water. Other water changes, I'll vacuum the gravel. For this one, I decided just to do the water because I tend to gravel vac not that often. I want the sediment to stay in the gravel so that the plants can grow. But that is something you could do. And if you were to do that, that's a slightly more advanced topic that I may cover in a future video. And there are also other videos out there where you can find how to gravel vac. Now the next step in this process is going to be dumping the water down the drain and replacing it with new water. And this is a crucial step because I have killed valuable fish making mistakes in this following step. So here I am at the sink. There are a couple of really important things to note when making the new water to replace your water during a water change. And the two important things that I look for are that the temperature is very close to the temperature of the aquarium you're introducing the new water to, and making sure that the levels of chlorine and chloramine are minimized. So in order to do that, I don't really have a specific dechlorinator that I like the best. There are a lot of different ones out there. The main thing I look for is something that it's easy to quantify. Sometimes you'll see one that says 3 milliliters per 50 gallons. That doesn't really help because I never do a water change of that much unless I'm doing a massive water change in my 125. So I like this prime. It basically is 2 drops per gallon of water, which is really easy. Fritz makes a dechlorinator that basically does the same exact thing. I'm just using this up because I have it. I don't really have a brand that I'm loyal to. But I'm going to start filling up this bucket. And I have a tankless water heater, so I have to heat up the warm water first, and then once it gets warm, I balance it with the cold and look at the feel of the water in the bucket compared to the water in the tank. And once I feel that they're fairly similar, then I feel that it's okay to put the water in the tank after I add the dechlorinator. Now, while this water's filling up, I just want to mention in the past, the reason dechlorinator is so important, I had a tank of guppies at school, and I went to school in Florida where the water's a lot different from here in Chicago, and I didn't anticipate it, but the water came in with some kind of pollutant, and I did a 50% water change without dechlorinator, and all but one fish died within 10 hours. Since then, I've been pretty traumatized by that experience, and I've been very religious about always dechlorinating water on every water change. And I really think it's just a good method, just an insurance policy to make sure that you don't kill fish doing a water change, which is something you should never be afraid to do because it's one of the best ways you can help your fish stay healthy and thrive. Okay, so I've gotten the hot water to heat up. Now I'm going to start mixing the water together. I'll kind of speed run this and get you to the next step. Okay, so I have about as much water as I want. I'm just kind of mixing it up so that it's an even temperature throughout. And then I'm going to go back and stick my hand in the tank just to compare the temperature levels. If you had a thermometer, especially one of those laser thermometers, that'd be ideal. Just laser the water here and the water there for a quick assessment. But since I don't have that, I have to use good old-fashioned nerves. So after comparing the temperatures of the bucket to the tank, they seem to be about the same. I think the bucket's a little warmer, but in my experience, slightly warmer water is going to be fine. This bucket's almost all the way full, and it's a 5-gallon bucket, so I'm going to assume 4.5 gallons of water. So I'm going to add 9 drops of prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Don't really worry about mixing that up. But now I'll reintroduce it to the tank and close out the video. So we're going to complete this water change by reintroducing the water to the tank. We've made sure it's at a similar temperature to the water in the aquarium. We've made sure that we dechlorinated it. And now the last step is making sure we don't introduce it too quickly. Basically that it scares the fish. If you dump it in and make it seem like a tidal wave's going through the tank, I feel like it, I just feel like the fish don't respond well to it. So I try to pour it in at a rapid rate because I don't want to hold a bucket up in the air for 10 minutes, but also not just dump it in as fast as I possibly can. So I'll do that. The main reason why water changes are so important is because they remove nitrates from your aquarium. Now, your aquarium filter is basically designed to remove both ammonia and nitrate from your water. And these are the two pollutants in the nitrogen cycle that occur prior to nitrate. So when your fish goes to the bathroom, it produces ammonia in the water. And the nitrifying bacteria in your filter converts that ammonia to nitrite and then to its least harmful form of nitrate. Now the issue is these bacteria can process ammonia and nitrite, but they can't process nitrate. And there are 2 ways to remove nitrate from your water. You can do it with live plants, which you see in my aquarium here, and you can do it through water changes. Not everyone is able to grow live plants or has access to them, and water changes are the best way to remove nitrates when this isn't possible. So as you can see, adding that water in knocked the plants around a little bit. I like to just keep an eye on the tank for a couple minutes after a water change is done, just to make sure nothing's going wrong. I have a little bit of PTSD from killing those fish, like I mentioned in the past. But yeah, that's about all you need to know for how to do a water change. There are going to be more complicated scenarios once you start breeding fish and having to deal with worrying about sucking up small fish. But for your average aquarium, if you're able to do that regularly, it kind of depends how many fish you have. And in future videos, I'll go a little more in depth into when and why you would do water changes and change other things in your aquarium. But those are your basic steps for how to execute a water change. Keep your aquarium clean and your fish healthier. If you're interested in more tips that will help you, especially as a beginner, check out this video on how to acclimate fish. I see a lot of people that bring home fish from the pet store and just have no idea what the best way to get their fish used to their new water is before they introduce them. And it's really easy, but a lot of people do it in ways that I think are wrong and make it more likely your fish will die. So if you want to avoid those issues, check out this video on how to acclimate fish the right way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.